Hello and welcome back to our podcast. It's Free Brown Ladies.
So today we wanted to talk about a really interesting topic, which is reality of relationships. So what we mean by this is that obviously being Indians especially, we have Bollywood, we have our big Indian weddings, we have so much fantasy, which is great fun and also exciting, but it sometimes masks the hard work and the reality of the relationships that it takes to get to that point and also to kind of make the marriage work. So we've all had our experiences here. We've got Mom, obviously me and Kiran are her daughters and sisters. So we thought it would be really interesting to share our experiences on relationships and hopefully just have a talking point and maybe help those who might be looking at these ideals and kind of just have an open discussion, I suppose, about the realities.
Yeah, it's the girls or boys, they have like a dream girls in their mind and they're looking for the person, and when they finally meet the person and then when is the reality hit and you taken away from the situation. And that's what we're going to talk about, how you can overcome the situation and what is going to take to have a good relationship. Is the reality of the relationship, not a dream of the relationship.
Yeah, so what we mean by that, I suppose, is when you first get into a relationship, it's all very much like honeymoon stage, like everything's great, everything's perfect, everyone's trying to be their best version of themselves. And then when you kind of get into your second or third year, your truer selves or the negative parts of your personality start coming out, or the differences in both of you start clashing a bit more, and it's how you kind of deal with those and where's kind of the fine line. So I know from my own experiences of relationship, there's always a balance of does this person kind of tick everything that in your box that you want to make a relationship, like go into a marriage, versus like, is this a red flag? Like, is this something I can't work on and something that is kind of like going to break the relationship up, sort of thing.
She's very observing. She observes people's relationship, and she's Kiran. She's got to really gut feeling, as you say, and she can tell person, oh, I don't like him or I don't like her straight away. So
I don't say I don't like anyone. I just say I
you can pick up the red flags. Let's put it this way.
No, I just have a feeling about someone.
Okay.
But I wouldn't start not liking someone until they start showing who they really are. But yeah, I would say in regards to the reality is, I think, in relationships, like if you romantic, I suppose, because there's all sorts of relationships.
It's always start from the romance, don't they?
Yeah, but like you never know, like friendships and relationship like mother and daughter. But when it comes to romantic relationships, I think we can be, I think a lot of us are wanting something special but not willing to work for it.
Yes, agreed.
I think some people don't realise that you're not always going to be happy, you're not always going to be amazing,
It's that fantasy of Bollywood.
It's the fantasy. It's not just Bollywood. I think a lot
Hollywood.
Oh yeah, Hollywood.
I think Disney.
And novels in the books,
novels.
It's always
ending, happy ending.
Paint the right picture like, oh, it's gonna be romance and that person gonna be always amazing, and that's what you try to say. It's not gonna be always.
It's not always. It's not. It's just how you sort of work around it is if you generally want to be with that person and you can accept all the flaws, because everyone's going to have flaws. You just have to think, oh, is this worth it? Is it worth all this stress and pain? Or if it's like minute things, I suppose it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, like Kieran said, there's always this fantasy that everyone creates, I suppose, in their mind of what they want, and then the realities are always a bit different to that. So I've obviously got into my relationships. Always, like, mom's always given me like quite good advice, and I've spoke to a lot of older people as well. So I remember even growing up, like I'd speak to married women and they would give me their advice. So they would always be like, the first year of your marriage is like one of the hardest years of your marriage, and you might get to stages where you think like, oh my god, what have I done, like this is the worst decision of my life. And then because you're learning to find the same journey together, so like it's literally bringing two people on completely different paths together as one person on one path, and that's the really, really, really hard thing. So if you can get past that, and what it takes to get past that is, like Kieran said, a lot of work. So it's a lot of understanding that other person, understanding the background of what made them that way, what makes them think that way, and then understanding yourself, like why you do certain things and what makes you that way, and then coming together to see if you can find a solution and a balance. Yeah.
So what is your experience then? So tell us some stories.
So tell us the story. How do you met, and the first year? What did you feel?
So obviously my current relationship, we did meet at a wedding, and then obviously the first year is very, like we said, honeymoon, like getting to know each other, all like really happy, and then there's so much that goes into when it starts to get to the marriage, then you have to consider everything. So you have to consider like your life goals, the way you've been brought up, the family differences, and then bringing all that together can be challenging.
How did you find yourself, this is the one for me?
Oh, that was quite easy. That was the easy part. I think what mom said to us is you make a list of exactly what you want in a person, and everything on that list has to be ticked. So that's always been our goalpost. So it's been clear to us, if the person isn't ticking that list, then it's like not worth it. And so this is the person I'm with does tick every list. But even if you're with the perfect person for you, like on paper, when you come to those challenges, they are really difficult because, like I said, it really is like the upbringing and the life they've had so far, their view on life, and sometimes it can just be communication as well. So you might be saying something, they might be saying something, and you're not listening to the other side. And I know what I'm like as a person is I'm a bit more aggressive. So I'm quite aggressive and I want to fix a problem like there and then. And I'm learning now that that's actually not right, because sometimes you can push it and make it worse. And when there's more than one party involved, so for example, if it's you and the person and like your family and their family and things like that, then you actually might be taking a better to just take a step back.
Is always I'm gonna step in here. When is the problem arise? Always try to look at the problem and look at the solution. Look at the solution and always step back is the first thing one can do. If you don't step back, you're gonna wind yourself up, and when you're winding, all you're gonna think and put all the energy on negative things. Stepping back is one thing, and second is always think, I'm gonna work this relationship. If you think this is it, which is like in my relationship, when I was young, I used to say, oh, forget it, this is not I don't want to work with this person and I'm going home. When you have that mindset, it's very hard to work hard on your relationship. And especially like obviously parents is there and they're gonna support you. I will support my daughters, all my children, either way, whatever they decide. I will respect their decision, but I also will help them to make the right decision. So decision is the main thing, and taking a step back, another thing, and think and give yourself and other person's space is always better, so other person can actually think what you try to say. Don't even text or ringing each other. Give them a space and arrange a meeting or call when you are like both calm down. What do you think, Kiran?
About what?
How do you solve your problem, if you have any?
I was gonna say what problem? Okay, I would say just agree with you. So because obviously I'm not in a relationship at the moment,
but tell us your experience of your relationship that you've had and what you've learned from that.
Yeah, so I was in a 3-year relationship, and obviously that came to an end. And when I can't remember what I was saying. When I was
With the relationship.
with him, it was ups and downs, really, wasn't it? So it was very like good one day, then bad the next. It was just really like
extremes.
Yeah, it was a bit all over the shop. So when like looking back at it now, it's good to have that experience, but it's like, you know, at that time I was like, oh my god, you know, you want to be with that person, but you know, the other person might not feel the same. So sometimes you do just have to let go. Like, if it's really not working, I think just let go of the situation, and you have to think there's going to be someone else out there for you that's going to be more suited for you, more patient, and more just want to handle all your crazy flaws, if you know what I mean. And it's compromise, isn't it? Like, you know, it can't be one-sided. You can't be doing all the work, or he or she can't be doing all the work. You have to be 50-50. You can't be you can't be expected to do everything, you know, go to their family, go to do whatever they want, but them not do the same for you. Yeah, it's the same. You have to be equal in the relationship.
Yeah, so I completely agree with Kiran there, and that's what I was saying about this fine balance. It's really understanding from your point of view when it's like issues that you can tackle and move forward from, versus where it's like an extreme
relationship
clashes all the time. You have to be able to understand, can we make it work and fight for it, versus sometimes people fight for the wrong relationships as well.
It's I mean, Kiran's relationship, when she was in a relationship, we could all see it, but she couldn't see it. It's very hard when like someone can see and you in the relationship can't see it. And you I can speak for my experience. I was exactly the same. When like I've been told by my parent, that's it, you have to work with this marriage, you're not gonna be accepted back home. So I didn't have a choice but to work with my relationship. And then I think when you have the mindset and you just go for it, you just take all the, like, you know, all the abuse from the family or from him, and because you know you can't go back, and that is has to change. I would never ever let my girls go through that experience where they feel like they have to work for wrong reasons, for the abuse, go through the abuse and still try to work the relationship. That is, I would never ever allow you girls out there, or even boys, if you're out there, if you're in that relationship where you feel like it's dead end, it's better to come out. There is always, people used to say to me, you know, they just come out and see the world. You know, there is so much opportunity, there is people waiting for you. But I couldn't see it. I could not see it at that time. There is there is like another world I'm still single. I don't want to be in a relationship, but my experience taught me so much. The abusing relationship is not worthy at all.
No. Yeah, so basically what I was going to say is that is why you should never rush into things like marriage. Oh, sorry guys. Things like marriage, because it's your whole life. It's even if you feel the pressure, especially when you're Asian as well, like you are, my sister, my brother, we're all quite not old, but technically we're all getting old now, so but we're getting to our like later 20s, if you know what I mean. So there's that pressure where you go to a wedding and someone's like, oh, have you found someone yet, and then you're just like, no, and then but it's just, don't feel like you have to get married straight away, even if you're 30, it's not the end of the world. You're the only person that's getting married and is going to live your life is you. So you have to live it for yourself. That's why I always think when it comes to marriage, it's so important to be 100% certain that you want to get married to this person. That is nothing that someone's pressuring you into or that you feel like you have to stick to. It's okay. People can get engaged and then, okay.
Yeah, come out as well.
Yeah, because I suppose that's quite a good thing, because at least it's better to then get married, have kids, have things, and then get upset
and end of 10 years you still end up with a divorce. You can prevent that. And that is I think that is the dating is all about. You just learning about each other. Is the right person, and can he change or she can change? Can he adopt the relationship? Basically, relationship is adapting, and compromising and respecting each other's. Marriage is just both families, not just person to person, and that where is most marriages failed, because people think, oh, I'm gonna marry him or her and we're gonna be happy, without realizing, oh, are the families happy? Are they getting along? Are the family compromising for each other? That is important, because end of the day, it's you and your children's gonna come into the world, and if one family is looking that way and other looking that way, that's gonna affect your child as well. So it's a lot of things going into relationship.
So that's what I really want to raise more awareness, is this idea of dating. So I know it's a bit more taboo in the Asian culture, but we're getting there. Obviously our mom's very open with the whole dating thing, and I think a lot more people are getting there. But my clear message to all young people out there is that when you meet someone, and it's what Kieran said, it's do not rush. So there's a difference between a wedding and a marriage. So, and especially in our culture, weddings are glorified. They're very like fantasy. They're exciting. That everyone's like Kieran said at events, everyone's asking, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? But marriage is actually coming together as two people, and it's actually whether you want to be with that person for the rest of your life, and whether you can add something to each other's life. Because like Mom says, there's so much that comes along with marriage. So for me, I really want everyone to realise, especially the young guns or anyone going through like the dating or hardships in the dating part, or even like the marriage part, it's actually, the dating is really important because you're getting to know this person, and at that stage you don't have to marry them. So the whole point of dating is to get to know someone, to understand, can I marry this person, spend the rest of my life? So that dating part, I think you should take it very seriously and actually test whether this is like right for you. And that's definitely what I did. If I saw anything that I suppose I'm quite a hard person to date, because I'm not the usual like airy fairy, like just go along with it for a year. We only probably had a honeymoon stage of like 3 months, and then after that I was like, right, that's it, like we need to know like what's going on. And like I was just like very like viewing things and testing him, and just seeing whether this was going to be a long-term thing for me, because I don't want to waste my time or my energy, my family's time, his family's time. And yeah, so for me, that is like really, really important. Take dating as seriously as you would to get married, because weddings are very different to marriage. Yes, you're going to be excited in your wedding, of course, it's amazing, but marriage is long term and forever.
Yeah, so I agree, and I know some Asians may disagree, but I personally think that when it comes to marriage and stuff like that, I personally think that you should be getting to know the other side's family and really like take time to get to know them as well. It shouldn't be so
Fast track.
yeah, it shouldn't be like, oh, we'll see you at the wedding, if you know what I mean. Like, you need to get to know the person because at the end of the day, behind the person that you're going to marry is their parents, that they're the ones who brought them up, they're the ones who've been with them for how many years. So it's really important to get to know them and spend time with them. Yeah.
I had a really good tip from Mom when I first started dating, and her tip was you as a couple need to create a very strong bond so that you can tackle anything. So as long as you as a couple are strong and you both know what you want and you stick up for each other and you've got each other's back, then you can deal with anything. But the moment you haven't got that strength there, that's when you're gonna struggle. So that's my tip, especially to girls. Make sure your husband or your man, whoever you're with,
boyfriend,
has got your back, and be really honest to yourself, like, has he got my back truly? Because that's what's going to help you tackle any issue that is to come.
That's another thing. I'm going to carry on with the Emmy's point. Men, they can be changed. They always, first few years, they always tilt to their family, toward their family. So, they might saying when they are with you, they say, oh yeah, I've got your back and you don't worry, I can do this and I can do that. When it comes to family, and sometimes they leave you in the lurch. So test them beforehand. Are they the right person? Because you don't want to be battle alone. He's the one, he should be by yourself. And also as a parent, please, I know it's very difficult, when your children is dating and you don't want to tell your family or the culture or whatever. It's fine, right? But make sure, do not pressure your children to get married, because it's end of the day, it's very, very important. They need to know. Marriage is, like Kiran said, not end of the world. If they gone, you force them into wrong, making them a wrong decision, you're gonna suffer with them too. So one thing, let them decide. Give everybody like a couple of years at least, so they can find, and you need to find them. You need to be, if like your daughter is dating, you need to see the guy is the right guy, even at your point of view. And if your son is dating, you need to know the girl is she's coming to your family is the right person. Can you deal with her, or can she fit into your family? If she can't, then tell your child straight away your opinion. I think that is the solution. Can she mold into your family? It's a lot of things. Gonna be it's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And it's not like Kiran said, it's like fairy tale. Fairy tale. It's just one day is you're gonna have a happy day, and the rest of life you're gonna be suffering. That's what we're avoiding.
Yeah, so touching on a different aspect from that is the idea of when to make it work and when not to. Because I think a lot of our generation have heard all these stories from our parents, and obviously our parents don't want us to go through the same thing. So then our generation are tilting more towards, just broadly speaking, more towards kind of doing their own thing. And yes, I definitely agree that you should not kind of be suppressed like our parents were, but still, to make a relationship work, you actually have to come together and not go in with the view that you're going to break families. And I don't think anyone does go in with that view that they're going to break up a family, but sometimes, especially our generation, don't realise that having a view where you're only thinking of yourself and your partner can be a bit disastrous. What's the word I'm looking for? Can be quite destructive, because, like Mom said, people, especially Asians, there are two families, and our parents care about us so much that you can't push them out. Like, that's for both sides. So for me, as a daughter-in-law going into a family, I understand the importance of his parents, his mom, creating that bond, creating that relationship, creating that togetherness, and it's spreading out to his wider family, cousins, aunts, uncles, etc. And Mom's taught me that from a young age, and I don't think we should lose that. And that's across all cultures. So I was listening to this doctor who's actually an American doctor, and he was talking about that as well. And he's actually trying to educate uni students. So he goes around America and he tries to educate them from uni. And he says, okay, you might not be in a relationship now, you might not be anywhere near marriage, but I want you to know what it takes to make a marriage from a young age. So when you start dating, you know that, and even he says, as an American guy, it's two families coming together.
I was just about to say, and if you, I agree with your point, Amy. But yes, if you actually like read about what the Sikh wedding is, it's actually about two families coming together. That's what all the like prayers or baths are actually saying. It's about the mom, and then it's about the dad, and then it's about the brothers. So it's, if you actually read about the wedding, it's actually about the two families coming together as one, which is actually like really amazing. But I don't know if everyone follows that.
No, I suppose I don't even know, so I'm gonna have to Google and find out the definition.
I think it's because of like the two family together, and we as a family, sometimes we try to judge other family. Oh, they are this and they are that. Oh, we are this and
we're
we are
better.
That. We think we are better. That is a lot of in that it's like a lot of causing the problem or issues. There, the biggest issue is the ego of the families, rather than we can be like say, okay, let's try to have a friendship rather than like in our culture we call the kodam or kodamani. Is kodamani is like is a definition of like brother and sister, but like it's not a closeness. So we don't have the closeness in our culture. Let's bring that closeness together. Let's see, we are actually friend rather than this the kodam and kodamanis. So you can open up with the open your heart about your children, because it's like your both families. Like if my daughter's marrying to her son, it's like our both children's future. So I rather go to her and tell her this is not right, and she can tell me, oh, this is not right. We can find the solution together as a parent. Yes,
and actually I know this is a bit off topic, but it's still on the like family trend, but I'm gonna speak to you, my sister. So if you were to have children and say if they were to bring, like, what is your opinion on like raising your like children and relationships? Like, what would you sort of give them guidance?
So my guidance is still, I don't think children should get into relationships till they're older, because you're maturing through your teens. Okay, if they want, if they're really desperate to try a relationship at 18, I would advise them against it, but I'd be more open around that age. But really, I would advise you to I advise my kids to be single until they're into their 20s, because you're just learning so much about yourself to get into a relationship that young, and you change so much as well as a person. So that would be my advice to them. I want to be like mom was with us, very open, so they can come to me when they do want to date, because I think it's important, like as a parent, you need to know what your children are doing so you can guide them. And sometimes, like mom said, you just have to sit back as a parent. Even like I say to mom all the time, I'm like, wow, you've gone through some stuff with us, what you probably didn't agree with, and you just had to accept it and just sit back and, like she said, accept her child's decision. And that's something that I'll have to learn as a mother, because sometimes I can be controlling.
I was just about to say, it's about not controlling, because you actually can't control someone else's life. Sometimes people need to make mistakes for them to learn about things,
and you just gotta hope that they do learn.
Yeah, I think it's better. What I have learned and still learning, you need to be there for your child when if things goes wrong, and you need to be there to pick your child up, and when they needed help, you need to be there. Basically, even doesn't matter how bad the situation is, you can let it go and forgive yourself and the child, and just your child is, to me, my children are right at the world to me. I don't say them to these words, but I care for them so much, and I will do anything for them to make them make sure they are happy and make sure they are making the right decisions. When they're making wrong decision, I do get angry or disturbed.
You'll definitely know.
Disturbed, but sometimes you have to sit back and say, okay, let them go through this phase, and just be ready. You just that time you build yourself and educate yourself. If things gonna go wrong, how you gonna help your child. That's it.
So back to relationships. One thing, let's just change the tone a bit. So I started obviously the person I'm with right now is very different to me, and it's quite good because we both bring a balance in our relationship, because we can be quite different on things. We're similar in a lot of the key things. So we have the same ambitions, we have the same goals in life, and those things are really important to me. But in terms of our personality, we're quite different. So like I said, I'm quite aggressive, and he's more of a patient person, and he likes to take his time and decision on things. And so then I started Googling, and that's how I found that doctor about relationship advice and whatever. And I found this book that was written called The 5 Love Languages, and it was really insightful to me, and I think that everyone should go and find out what their love language is. And basically this doctor, he says that the 5 love languages are everyone receives and gives their own language out of these 5. So it was words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, physical touch, or quality time. And he said to make a relationship work, you have to give your partner what their love language is, and they have to give you what yours is. And if you're not giving each other their love language, then that's how you can start to break down a relationship. So for example, my love language is quality time. So the more quality time I spend with my partner, and by quality time it means we don't have to see each other all the time, but when we do, it has to be we're really engaged in each other, conversation. We're really shutting off to the world and just being within ourselves, because that's how I was brought up. So a lot of the time we'd have the TV off and just be talking, and I'll go to mom's room or Kieran's room and we'll just talk a lot. So that's how I receive love. But whereas my partner, he's words of affirmation, so he likes a lot of praise, compliments, support through words, whereas to me that means nothing. So starting off, if you say something to him, it will hurt him for like 1,000 days, whereas for me, you can say anything to me and I kind of just brush it off and move on. So that was really key in understanding each other. So that's something I would definitely urge everyone to do, is find out what your partner's love language is, what your love language is, and make sure each other know that. And the doctor says, like, work on that once a week if you're married.
Okay, do you know the name of the doctor or website, so you can actually our
viewers or listeners
they can find out their love language?
Tell me where your love lies.
Yeah.
I wanna be a singer in your love language.
Yeah, so it's 5 Love Languages written by Gary Chapman. Also, there's one that I haven't listened to yet or read, but someone recommended Women Are From Venus and Men Are From Mars. And apparently this book is amazing because you can listen to the audio as well, but it basically goes into detail of what men are like and what women are like. And so for men's reading it, they can kind of try to understand a woman, and then a woman reading it can try and understand a man. So I'm going to listen to that. And I was actually recommended it by a guy. So guys out there, make sure you also listen to find out how a woman's mind works, because the
Very
reality
complex.
is
we
are so completely different as well. So that's another thing to add into the mix, is a man and a woman think so differently. It's hilarious.
very true. So that's why God created 2 of us, so merging one, so we can merge one, but it's understanding. End of the day,
When it's good, it will be amazing, isn't it? Like when you have everything.
Oh yeah, then
I
it's
think
like,
in marriage, like, you never gonna be have everything sorted or balance and whatever. You always gonna have a challenge. It's just how you handle it, and that is the
It's just life, though. Say if you're single, you're always gonna have challenge. It's just an adding an extra person and having their challenges.
I think today is so much better because you got so much information and education. You can learn from it. Girls and boys learn and be a student rather than a teacher or be a master. We know everything
and always find a solution, like Mum's always says.
Yeah, this is my theory in life: finding a solution rather than a problem.
I love that theory. I think it really works for relationships. So when you're really down in the dumps, really just go online, just even search what you're feeling, and something will come up. Like even like sometimes
How to deal with this.
to deal with this, or how to make myself less angry. You can put in anything and something will come up.
There's
And
loads
then,
of stuff.
you'll listen to something and you'll be like, oh wow, I've been silly or something,
Yeah, and that's another thing. Us the whole family, we are very egoist. We don't
Egoist.
We don't say sorry, or we don't accept our faults.
I would say I do.
Yeah, you do. But
Eventually, not at the time.
at the beginning, we
You
just
need space, don't you?
find. We try to fight our point first.
We're
and
all
then-
very fiery.
We're all very
very
feisty.
Me and
Feisty
Kieran are
senoritas.
fire signs. I don't
Are
know.
we?
Yeah, Sagittarius are fire signs.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know what I am.
I think
Mom.
Mum.
I think
breaks
Mum.
them all.
I was gonna say Mum's definitely. If she's not fire,
She's not a fire sign, but I think she just breaks her mold. But she's a Scorpio, so. See you on our next podcast. Make sure you check out some of the other podcasts we've done, and we hope you enjoyed it. And see you in the next podcast.